Hi, I know I'm breaking out. I started a new medication, so if you were gonna comment on that, now you're unoriginal, so ha. Think of something funny. I am home for Thanksgiving break. I fly back tomorrow, and by that I mean today. I think my flight's in like 6 hours. I should sleep. Unlike my last job, which I talked about in my last video, I am not going to talk about the specifics of my job in this video because even though I didn't sign an NDA, my boss is very strict about keeping these things under wraps. So I don't want to upset my boss. So without getting into exactly what I'm doing, I will give some bullet points because they're relevant to this video. I'm doing an interactive children's theater experience where I sometimes work up to 13-hour days. So I really should be sleeping while I have the opportunity, but I'm filming a YouTube video instead. So it's an interactive children's theater with some days where I work up to 13 hours. And the important thing is that I talk in a British accent. Well, I'm supposed to talk in a British accent. I'm kind of doing like a transatlantic thing right now. So the fact that I've been doing this British accent for a couple weeks now, and I will continue to do the British accent through the rest of the year, so this job will get me through December. Don't you love being an actor where you're always job searching and you're never done job searching ever in your life? That's so cool of it. Anyways, I'm going off topic. I've been thinking a lot about dialects because another thing I feel comfortable sharing about this project is that there's a lot of other actors and all of us are doing a crazy accent. We've got, I think, two other British people, someone doing an Irish accent. I don't even know what some people are doing, but it's very fun. We actually have a lot of British people. We have a lot of British people. I guess British people. I can't talk too much about my job and I'm already failing at that, so we're gonna stop. So without fully doxing myself, because I've heard people on the internet are very good at that and I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I am from the US, if that's not obvious, and I live in the I live on the East Coast, kind of mid-north area. That's all you're getting. I feel like I went to because of where I live and because I went to college and have met a lot of different people, I feel like I have a pretty standard American accent. Off the top of my head, I do say y'all. If anything, there's like some Southern, but like not really. I'll say y'all. Sometimes when I call someone darlin', I'll drop the G, so darlin'. But I feel like other than that, my accent is pretty like basic, boring, white bread American woman. What's interesting though is that I do speak Spanish, and I know that I speak Spanish with a Peruvian dialect and probably a Peruvian accent as well, because that's the dialect and accent of the person who taught me to speak Spanish. So I got that going for me. But as for English, I feel like it's a pretty standard American accent. I've also done a couple classes on acting for the voice, and all of them have included talking about your own dialect and accent in some way. And again, I feel like mine is pretty boring. But what does the New York Times have to say about it? I'm working on a larger video right now, so we're going to do a quiz for this video. Please forgive me. Now, you might be wondering, hey, Chloe, are you doing this video because you saw Hugby's video where he did this and you thought it was cool and you wanted to do it? And the answer is, who is Hugby's? I've never heard of that man in my life. So I'm going to read the description. So how y'all use and you guys talk. What does the way you speak say about where you're from? Answer all the questions below to see your personal dialect map. And let's read about the quiz. The data for the quiz and maps shown here come from over 3,500,000 survey responses collected from August to October 2013 by Josh Katz, a graphics editor for the New York Times who developed this quiz and has since written Speaking American, a visual exploration of American regional dialects. Most of the questions used in this quiz are based on those in the Harvard Dialects Survey, a linguistics project begun in 2002 by Bert Vo. We're going to go with Vo, and if I'm incorrect, then I apologize. Begun in 2002 by Bert Vo and Scott Golder. The original questions and results for that survey can be found on Dr. Vo's current website. The colors on the large heat map correspond to the probability that a randomly selected person in that location would respond to a randomly selected survey question the same way you did. The three smaller maps show which answer most contributed to those cities being named the most or least similar to you. Okay, so let's do that. And I think Hugbees, who again I've never heard of, did this quiz multiple times because there are multiple answers and you're not going to get all of them on one run through. So I'll maybe do that as well. But just like he did, maybe I'll go over every map. I don't really have a strong video essay at the beginning of this. Okay, how would you address a group of 2 or more people? Is this multiple question? Because I'll definitely do y'all. Okay, this is not multiple question, but y'all is my go-to. This is definitely, yeah, y'all. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's just a very Southern thing to say. That's very Bible Belt. What do you call the night before Halloween? Gate night, trick night, mischief night, cabbage night, goosey night, devil's night, devil's eve. I have no word for this or other. I'm probably going to say I have no word for this. I've heard some of these in passing, but I've never used any of them myself. So let's see what this one responds to. Oh. Okay, so apparently I'm not alone in this. How do you pronounce the first syllable of lawyer? Law. Rhymes with boy, rhymes with flaw. Okay, yeah, flaw, rhymes with flaw. I was looking at these, I'm like, what? But I figured it out. Lawyer, flaw, yeah. Oh, really? That's not a popular one. That's interesting. Okay, so apparently I do have a specific dialect. Which is interesting because the area it says on the map, I do not live in any of those places. So boy, lawyer. Yeah, lawyer. Yeah, I guess. Okay, what do you call the small freshwater lobster often found in lakes and streams? Have I ever, okay, I know nothing about nature. So let's narrow it down. I definitely don't say mud bug. I don't say crowfish. Isn't crawdad a bird? No, a crawdad is not a bird. I Googled it, and there's a movie called Where the Crawdads Sing. And I think that's why I thought crawdads were birds, is because I've never seen this movie before, and I've just heard the title of the movie and assumed they were talking about birds. Because typically when you talk about an animal singing, it's about birds. I shouldn't have looked that up because now I saw that the real name is crayfish. I'd probably say crayfish or crawfish, but I don't. Let's go with crayfish because I've never. I know what they are. They're the little guys, but I don't know. I don't care about nature like that, so I'd probably just use their legal name. Really? So most people probably say crawfish. I hope that one doesn't count super towards my answer because I had no idea. Okay, how do you pronounce crayon? With one syllable rhymes with man, that'd be crayon, and I don't. With two syllables sounds like crayon. No, I say with 2 syllables where the second syllable rhymes with dawn. Crayon, dawn. Yes, sounds like, okay, definitely that one because it doesn't sound like crown. Wow. I kept thinking my answers were going to be super basic and they aren't, so I was just super wrong. What do you call a big road on which you drive relatively fast? A highway, a freeway, a parkway, a turnpike, an expressway, a throughway/throughway. A freeway is bigger than a highway. A freeway is free, i.e. doesn't charge tolls. A highway isn't. A freeway has limited access, no stop lines, no intersections, whereas a highway can have stoplights and intersections or other. Okay. Expressway is a toll highway. I would never call it a turnpike unless it's called a turnpike, like unless that's in the signage. It's funny. I never. Do I think a freeway is bigger than a highway? I probably use highway and freeway roughly interchangeably, but I probably just say highway more. Yeah, that looks about accurate because you can see it's middle northeast area. What do you call the thing from which you might drink water in school? A bubbler, a water bubbler, a drinking fountain, or a water fountain. Definitely just a water fountain. Yeah, there we go. This is what I expected. Just fully red in the area around me. What do you call a traffic situation in which several roads meet a circle? A roundabout? A rotary, a roundabout, a circle, a traffic circus, or I have no words for this. I've heard it called a traffic circle, but I would just call it a roundabout. Oh, interesting. That's apparently, it's popular, but like the Midwest and Wester. How do you, oh, okay. I think I genuinely pronounced caramel and caramel interchange. Yeah, I use both pronunciations interchangeably. I have two pronunciations, but the two have different meanings. That's interesting. Yeah, I use them both interchangeably. Really? Really? Look at that blue. That's crazy. I feel like it's super common to use caramel and caramel interchangeably. And I don't even know why. Like, it will just happen. What do you call the sweet spread that is put on a cake, frosting or icing? I've used both. I'd probably say frosting more often. I'll just say both. But probably frosting more often, but I use both. Really? What? I feel like I've just been wrong. Like I my whole life really thought that I had a really generalized accent, and now it's like nobody's ever spoken like you. You're a freak of nature, actually. What do you call a large motor vehicle used to carry a freight? A semi truck, a tractor trailer, a trailer truck, a transfer truck, a transport, a truck and trailer, a semi trailer, an 18-wheeler, a truck, a big. Yeah, I just call it a truck. Everything's a truck. They're all the same. This is not about where I live. This is about me not knowing or caring about trucks. Okay, apparently I'm the only one in the whole United States that does not care about trucks. How do you pronounce the second syllable? Again, I will use pajamas and pajamas interchangeably. But I'll probably say pajamas more if I had to guess. Because there's no both option in this one. I guess caramel and caramel you can say both ways, but pajamas and pajamas, you really got to pick a side. And I'm picking palm. Yeah, okay, that's about that. This kind of map is what I was expecting, with like mostly East Coast with some traces of the South. That's what I thought I would be. How do you pronounce the words Mary, Mary, and Mary? The two A words are the same, but the one with an E is very slightly different. Mary, Mary, and Mary. It sounds the same when I say it out loud, but in my head it sounds different. Tell me in the comments if I'm crazy. I'll say it one more time. Mary, Mary, and Mary. Tell me if I'm crazy, because I might be, and I am open to suggestions. Okay, I'm crazy, because no one agrees with me. What is the distinction between dinner and supper? Supper, I think, is kind of an outdated term. Like, I just wouldn't use it anymore. I think there is a okay, before I look at the answers, I believe there's a historical difference. I believe I've done some Shakespeare plays, and I believe in a lot of Shakespeare plays, dinner is what we would call lunch, and supper is what we would call dinner. Supper is an evening meal, dinner is eaten earlier. Supper is an evening meal, dinner is the main meal. Dinner takes place in a more formal setting than supper. There is no distinction. They both have the same meaning. I don't use the word supper. I don't use the word supper. Like, I know what it means, and if that wasn't an option, I would probably say supper is the evening meal and dinner is eaten earlier. But I know people use supper nowadays, but for my vocabulary, supper is an archaic word and I don't use it. Oh, wow. That just opposite. I will say I have never once been invited to supper. I live on the East and I've never heard that in my life. What do you call an easy high school or college class? I've heard it called a paper class, but I'd probably just call it an easy class. A gut, a crypt course, a bird, a blow off, or meat. What? I've never heard any of those in my life. What do you call a sweetened carbonated beverage? Soda. Soda, pop, Coke, tonic, soft drink, lemonade, Coca-Cola, fizzy drink, dope, or other. Dope is something very different. I call it soda. I've heard it called pop. I went to college in Ohio. A lot of people called it pop. I know they call it lemonade in England because I did a summer abroad in England, but yeah, anyway. Oh, wow, that's like very... Yeah, that seems about right. What do you call the small road parallel to the highway? I don't know, I've not been driving that long. I'd probably call it the small road parallel to the highway. Frontage road, service road, access road, feeder road, gateway. We have them, but I have no word for them. I've never heard of this concept other. I just don't really pay it. This is terrible of me, but I just go where the GPS tells me to go. If the GPS does not tell me to go on the small road parallel to the highway, it does not matter to me. So I'm going to say I've never heard of this concept. That does not mean that I've not seen them. It just means that they were none of my business at the time. Okay, I am apparently an anomaly here. What do you call a traffic jam caused by drivers slowing down to look at an accident or other diversion on the side of the road? I call it relatable. That's not true. I'm very good at being nosy without bothering other people. A rubbernecking. Rubbernecking is the activity, slowing down and gawking, that causes the traffic jam, but I have no word for the traffic jam itself. Gaper's block, gaper's delay, a looky-loo, a curiosity delay, a gawk block. Or I have no word for this. I'm going to say I have no word for this because I have never heard any of these terms, but again, this might be because I've only had my license for a couple years and I only got a car earlier this year, so I've not been driving that long. I'm, again, apparently in the minority here. What do you call insect that flies around in the summer and glows in the dark? So this is interesting because I call it a firefly. Like, I've heard lightning bugs, but firefly... I guess I use lightning bug and firefly interchangeably. Well, what is a peeny wally? What? Really? Most people don't use lightning bug and firefly interchangeably? I would use firefly more often, but I use lightning bug. Does nobody else? What do you call the area of grass in the middle of some streets? A boulevard, a midway, a traffic island, an island. Neutral ground. I have no word for this, median or other. I think I call it an island. Okay, again, apparently this is not popular. What do you call the large wild cat native to the Americas? A mountain lion, a cougar, a puma, a mountain cat, a panther, a catamount, a mountain screamer, a painter or other. So, okay, again, I am not a huge nature girly, but is a mountain lion, a cougar, and a puma, are those not all the same animal? I think it's a cougar. Mountain lion and cougar might be the same thing, but puma is a separate thing. Am I crazy? And panther is a separate thing too. I'm looking this up. Am I crazy? Okay. Mountain lion, puma, cougar, panther. These cats are known by more names than just about any other mammal, but no matter what you call them, they're still the same cat, puma concolor. Okay, so I was wrong. I fully believed that a puma was a different thing, but I call it a cougar. And nobody else does, apparently. What do you call the long sandwich that contains cold cuts, lettuce, and so on? A Subway sandwich? A sub, a grinder, a hoagie, a hero, a poor boy, a bomber, an Italian sandwich, a baguette, a sarnie. I have no word for this or other. Just a sub. Just a sub. Yeah, that one does not surprise me. How do you pronounce aunt? With the vowel in ah to sound like ant. With the vowel in cot. I have the same vowel in ah, cot, and aunt. I'm going to come back to this because I'm confused. To sound like ain't. I use ah when referring to the general concept of an aunt, but I use aunt when I refer to a specific person by name. I use aunt when referring to the general concept of an aunt, but I use ah when I refer to a specific person by name. I actually think it might be this one. I only have like one aunt that I refer to by name, but I think I usually just call her by her first name, but I think the few times that I am like, you are my, yeah, that's that one. That's so strange, but that's what I think it is. And no one else does that. Okay, thanks, guys. I feel really left out here. What do you call the rubber-soled shoes worn in gym class or for athletic activities? Sneakers, shoes, gym shoes, sand shoes, jumpers, tennis shoes, running shoes, runners, trainers. I have no general word for this or other. Probably sneakers. I've heard tennis shoes before. Tennis shoes, running shoes. Probably those three. Maybe tennis shoes, actually. Because when I think of sneakers, or maybe running shoes? Because when I think of sneaker, like, I would use those three interchangeably, but for some reason when I think of sneakers, I think of like expensive shoes, like Yeezys or whatever it is that people like spend a lot of money on. Sorry guys, I'm a high heels girly. Yeah, but probably tennis shoes. Like maybe running. I don't know. I'm gonna go with tennis shoes. Okay. Yeah, so that's not uncommon. How do you pronounce bin? With the vowel in sit, with the vowel in see, with the vowel in set. I think it's up. Sit, bin, see. So it's not see, because see would be bean. How do you pronounce bean? So bin is like, how have you been? And then bean is like see. That's the food that I can't eat anymore because it makes me sick now, and that breaks my heart. Ben. Have you been? The set feels a little too wide. Sit, bin. Oh, it's sit. I'm overthinking it. Let's look at my dialect map. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, this looks about right. This is about correct. Without doxing myself, this is about correct. Let's see, the least similar. Oh, so interesting. These show my least distinctive answers. Yeah, no word for the night before Halloween. Tennis shoes for the stuff in, and then water fountain. And then does it also show my most distinct? Yes, it does. How do you address a group of 2 or more people? Y'all. That's most distinct. I feel like saying y'all is super common. Like, I definitely get it from my mother, who's a Southern woman, but I also don't think it's super unique, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I get it from my mother, but I also just feel like it's so ingrained in pop culture now that... What do you call a big road on which you drive relatively fast? Highway. I remember this one. Again, this is just where, oh, I guess those are my only 2 distinct answers, but those are very Raleigh and Richmond. Yeah, I remember that question. I think that one doesn't have as much to do with where I grew up and more to do with my not knowing that much about roads. Okay, I'm going to take the quiz again, but I'm going to click the slightly different answers that, because I also will say you all. I'll say you all, I'll say you guys. I won't just say you to refer to a group of 2 or more people. That has to... Oh, for 2 or more people, that will be you guys. I wouldn't say you all if it's just 2 people. But I would say y'all, so I'll say you guys. Okay, pretty much the opposite of where I'm from. Supper is an evening meal, dinner's eaten earlier. Okay, nobody does that. Oh, okay, here's a question we didn't get last time. What would you call a sale of unwanted items on your porch, in your yard, etc.? That's either a yard sale or a garage sale. I don't know what I think the difference is. Tag sale, yard sale, garage sale, rummage sale, thrift sale, stoop sale, carport sale, sidewalk sale, jumble sale, car boot, carpool sale, patio sale, or other. I'll use garage sale and yard sale interchangeably, but I'll go with yard sale for this one. Yeah, that's also about correct with where I'm from. What did I say last time? I said crayfish. I'll go with crawfish this time. Okay, apparently that's also not that popular. It's only popular right there. How do you pronounce the second syllable of pajamas? So first I said palm. Now I'm going to say jam, even though I just said it palm. Again, pretty much the exact opposite of where I'm from. How do you pronounce caramel? Oh, this one I'll go with use both pronunciations interchangeably because this one, that's the only answer. There's not like another answer I might go. Okay. And again, nobody does that. This time I'm just going to say firefly because I do use both firefly and lightning bug, but I say firefly like 90% of the time. Again, super opposite of what my like part of the US does. Super weird. What do you call a traffic situation? Rotary, roundabout, circle, traffic circle. I will sometimes call it a traffic circle, but it's a roundabout. No, it's a roundabout. It's never not a roundabout. Again, this is just a truck because I don't know. I probably say frosting more often than icing. I will use them both interchangeably, but if you were to just ask me, I'd probably say frosting. And again, opposite of where I'm from. Very odd. Oh, this one's new. What do you call the area of grass between the sidewalk and the road? Berm, parking, tree lawn, terrace, curb strip, beltway, verge. Curb strip? I'm going to say I have no word for this because I've never thought of that really. Okay, I'm glad that that's not an unpopular thing. How do you pronounce crayon? Yeah, it's always crayon. Do I ever say crayon? Crayon? No, it's always crayon. It's always crayon. Which apparently nobody does. Oh, here's one that I didn't get before. What do you call the small gray bug that curls up into a ball when it's touched? This is either a pill bug or a roly-poly. Pill bug, doodle bug, potato bug, roly-poly, sew bug, basketball bug, twiddle bug, roll-up bug, woodlouse, millipede or centipede. Those are just different things. Or maybe not, because I didn't know that a cougar and a puma were the same thing, so what do I know? I know what this creature is, but I have no word for it. I have no idea what this creature is or other. I probably, honestly, maybe I'm just super in touch with my childlike whimsy and joy, but I for sure say roly-poly more often than pillbug. But those are the two words I use. But roly-poly is my go-to. What do you call... Yeah, I still... I'm going to say we have them, but I have no word for them this time. Okay, that's apparently also not... Nobody does. What do you call a drive-through liquor store? A liability? A brew through, a party barn, bootlegger, beer barn, beverage barn. We have these in my area, but we have no special term for their... I've never heard of such a thing. Why would this only... It just feels like a liability. It feels like it should... I don't want to say it should be illegal because I'm not that kind of girl, but it just feels fraught with peril. Okay. Yeah. What do you call it when the rain falls while the sun is shining? Okay. This one is interesting because I call it a sun shower, but I know why I call it a sun shower, and I call it a sun shower because of this Odd Ones Out video. I distinctly remember watching that video and being like, I don't know if I've ever had a word for that. So I'm probably going to say sun shower, even though again, I know exactly where I got it and it's not from like my local area or my parents. But let me read all of these because they're all awesome. Sun shower. The wolf is giving birth. The devil is beating his wife. Monkey's wedding. Fox's wedding. pineapple rain, liquid sun, or I have no term or expression. I might have to steal liquid sun because that's really cute. Really? Sun shower's not that popular? All right. Do you pronounce cot and cot the same? Do I pronounce cot and cot? I feel like my mouth is moving differently, but the sound that's coming out is the same. Cot and cot. I'm going to say it's different. Again, leave in the comments below if I'm making things up in my head. Oh, interesting. This map is completely different. So these are the most distinctive answers. Okay, apparently the firefly was my only distinctive answer. Let's show least similar. Okay, my father grew up in Akron, so I guess that's the reason I have no word between the grass, between the sidewalk and the road. So thank you, Dad. And my mother grew up in New Orleans, so that's why I call the long sandwich a sub. Thank you, Mom. I have no familial relation to Pittsburgh. All right, let's do it again and find more answers. What happens? I'm just curious where people say lightning bug. Okay, like there. Pill bug. It's funny, in my mind, pill bug is the like legal name for it, but I doubt that's true. Nobody says pill bug? Really? How do you pronounce the first syllable of lawyer? Boyer, lawyer. Flaw, flawyer. Maybe I actually say boy, it rhymes, because lawyer, boy, boyer, flaw, flyer. I'm going to say I use both pronunciations interchangeably because I don't know. Nobody does that. Thank you. Oh, okay, here's a new one. This might be the first new one of this time. What do you call something that is across both streets from you at an intersection? Kitty corner, kidda corner, catter corner, catty corner, kitty cross, kitty wampus. I would use only diagonal for this. I think it's cata corner? Cata? Is that not an option? Probably catty corner then. Am I crazy? Is cata corner not an option? There's catter corner. I'll say catty corner, but I'm pretty sure I would say cata corner. I'm losing my mind. Okay, but at least that's my general area. We're back to this one. What happens if you say freeway is bigger than a highway? Okay, nobody has ever said that before. Okay, for distinction between dinner and supper, it's funny because they have dinner takes place in a more formal setting than supper, but not the other way around. And I think I would think of it as the other way around because I have dinner every night, but I've never had supper before, so supper must only be for very fancy situations I've never been in. Nowadays, I probably think they mean the same thing, and no one has ever thought that before. Great, thank you. What happens if I say other? I don't know if I've ever said other for one of the answers. Okay, other, I guess that makes sense. If you say other, nobody has ever said that before. That's why it's not even an option on the list. Okay, so in this one, I speak like every other human being in the US. Okay, apparently everyone in Honolulu calls it soda. The y'all one makes sense. Never heard of that place before. Least similar. Okay, nobody in Grand Rapids pronounces cot and cot the same. All right, let's try it again, and I think I'll go through it. I think I'll keep doing it until I stop getting repeat questions, and if I go through twice with no repeat questions, I'll assume I got all of them. Okay, for this time I'm going to say I have no term or expression or this. Oh, that's actually not uncommon. Okay. I mean, it's uncommon in my area, but it's not uncommon generally. What happens if you say sneakers? Okay, I guess they only say sneakers there. Yeah, that makes sense, because in my mind, when I think of sneakers, I think of like the really expensive, like designer shoes. Okay, I don't think we had any new questions that time. So I'll go through one more time just to confirm. Okay, I'm clicking on Peony Wally this time because I gotta know where they use that. Nobody's used that before. Very fascinating. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go through one more time. And I'm gonna, okay, for my last run through, I'm gonna try to click the ones that I think that I've never heard anybody say. I've never heard yins before. I have never heard Peony Wally. Okay, so those last two times were all blue. Do you pronounce cot and cot the same? I'm gonna say different because, I'll say same, actually, because I think I say them differently. What do you call a small road parallel to the highway? Frontage, service, access, feeder, gateway. I want to say, I'll say feeder road. Okay, that's not very popular. Excellent. So what do you call something that is across both streets at an intersection? Kitty corner, kidda corner, catter corner, catty corner, kitty cross, kitty wampus. I'm gonna say kitty wampus. Okay. I'm glad that the ones that sound crazy to me also seem wildly unpopular. What do you call small freshwater lobster often found in lakes and streams? Crowfish. I'm gonna say mudbug. Although I don't think I've ever heard crowfish either. Yeah, I'll go with mudbug. Yes, I'm so good at guessing which things are crazy. What do you call a traffic situation in which several roads meet in a circle? A rotary, a roundabout, circle, traffic circus. All of these sound pretty decent, especially because, but I'll go with traffic circus. Oh, I'm so good at this. What do you call an easy high school or college class? Gut, crypt course, bird, blow off, meat, or other. This one's difficult because they all sound genuinely crazy to me. I'm gonna go with meat. All right. My streak is still good. What do you call it when rain falls when the sun is shining? Sun shower, the wolf is giving birth, the devil is beating his wife, monkey's wedding, fox's wedding, pineapple rain, liquid sun. Okay, sun shower I believe is pretty common. Liquid sun is super cute, so I imagine people just use it because it's a cute word for it. I'm gonna start doing that. Pineapple rain, similar. I've actually heard a lot of discourse around the devil is beating his wife, which means I imagine people have heard it a lot growing up. I'm gonna go with the wolf is giving birth, because fox and monkey's wedding, those are just two words, whereas this is a crazy thing to say all around. All blue still. I'm so good at knowing what nobody said before. I've heard crayon, like a decent amount, and I've also heard crayon, so I'm gonna say sounds like crown. Okay, still very unpopular. Not as unpopular, but unpopular. What is the distinction between dinner and supper? I want to know. I doubt there's anyone that only uses supper and never uses dinner, so that's the answer I'm going with. Yeah. Oh, this one. I'm not going to say other for any of these because that's cheating. How do you pronounce the second syllable of pajamas versus pajamas? I think like pajamas is going to be more common. So I'm going to say jam. Again, it's still going to be pretty popular. What do you call the night before Halloween? Gate night, trick night, mischief night, cabbage night, goosey night, devil's eve. I'm taking out the devil's one because those both make sense. Mischief and trick I'm also taking out. And I'll take out gate because it's like the gate opening between the living and dead. I don't know if that's why it's called that. I've never heard the phrase before, but that would make sense to me. Like if I heard someone call the night before Halloween gate night, I'd be like, oh, I that makes sense. But cabbage and goosey night would both throw me for a loop. But I think goosey night is gonna be worse. Yeah, she still got it, baby. I actually might use both pronunciations interchangeably. But what's gonna be less? But I'll say that too, because I think that might be weird of me. And it is weird of me. I'm gonna say the opposite of what I do is weird because it's the opposite of what I do. And I'm correct because I'm so normal. What do you call the area of grass between the sidewalk and the road? Berm, parking, tree lawn, terrace, curb strip, beltway, The beltway is just a different thing. So I'm gonna... It's the verge of the road. I'm going to say berm. This one I have so many to pick from. So pillbug and roly-poly both make sense. Doodlebug all makes sense. Potato bug makes sense. So what do we have left? Sow bug, basketball bug, twiddle bug, roll-up bug, woodlouse, millipede or centipede. Part of me feels like millipede or centipede would make the most sense if my goal is to like answer this quiz as someone who speaks like no human being alive, because those are just different animals. But that also kind of feels like cheating because those are just different animals. Roll-up bug, it does do that. Is it a wood, like, is that the actual name? Yeah, that's, oh, it's a, yes. So that's its legal name. I'm gonna click basketball bug. I still got it. I doubted myself, but I still got it. What do you call a big road on which you drive relatively fast? I'm gonna say a throughway is the weirdest one. Cause I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna justify myself. I've heard that one the least, and the queen is still on top. Yeah. Okay. So what do you call the thing from which you might drink water in a school? It's either water bubbler or bubbler because both drinking fountain and water fountain makes sense. I'm just gonna go with bubbler because water bubbler at least provides some more context. Okay, that's still pretty rare, I guess. Right there, they'll say that. This one, what do you call a large motor vehicle used to carry freight? Okay. Semi truck, tractor trailer, trailer truck, transfer truck, transport, truck and trailer, semi trailer, 18-wheeler, truck, rig, big rig, or lorry. I've never heard lorry before. The rest of them I've all heard. I've heard them. That does not mean I could define what they mean, but I've heard them, but I've never heard lorry. And I've never heard lorry because nobody ever has. And I'm sticking to the word ones. So what do you call a drive-through liquor store? A brew-through, a party barn, a bootlegger, a beer barn, or a beverage barn? A beverage barn, I'm clicking because it seems too formal for this kind of establishment. If someone is going through a drive-through liquor store, it's got to be a brew-through or something. A beverage barn is too classy. And I'm correct. What if I just say icing? That's weird. And neither is a cop-out. Oh, okay, that's not unusual for people to just say icing. I mean, it's unusual, but it's not, like, rare. What do you call the large wildcat native to the Americas? Mountain lion, cougar, puma, mountain cat, panther. Catamount, mountain screamer, or painter. I'm going to rule out mountain screamer, because if you live nearby, why wouldn't you call them that? If you've ever heard a cougar, they scream. Catamount and paint. I'm going to go with painter, because that's just a guy. Yeah, okay. What do you call okay, the traffic jam one. I'm eliminating rubberneck and rubbernecking because it's in 3 of the different answers, which means that it must be at least semi-common to warrant 3 different answers. I'm also going to take out Gaper's block and Gaper's delay for the same reason. So we got a looky-loo, a curiosity delay, or a gawk block. And I'm going to go with gawk block because that's funniest. And I'm on top. Okay, what do you call, and this is the last one, what do you call the rubber-soled shoes worn in gym class for athletic activities? Trainers is very British, so people must use that somewhere. Gym shoes make sense. Just calling them shoes is weird, but not inaccurate. Jumpers, you can jump in them, but sand shoes? Okay, we don't get the... Really? Okay. So they think I'm from Houston just because I use the word feeder road. And I'm from... Yeah, so a lot of these have very specific... I wonder why that is. So, what have we learned? I might have more of an accent than I thought. There are a lot of English words or English dialect words that I'd never even heard of before. I'm really good at guessing what words are not common, so I've got that going for me. I learned that pill bugs are actually called wood lice, so that's cool. I'm still going to call them pill bugs and roly-polies because they're not lice, they're little guys. And I need to go to bed soon because I fly back to the city where I'm working tomorrow, and then I have a 13-hour shift the next day. And I have to do my entire 13-hour shift in my British accent, or rather my sort of transatlantic accent that is trying its best. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.